So it's Mike reporting for ESCKAZ.com. I'm very fortunate to be here with Sietse Bakker. Hi Sietse, how are you?
Hi there, good to see you again.
Just wanted to ask you a few questions about this year's contest, if that's okay. What's the role of the EBU in the Eurovision in concert weekend? Is it kind of a semi-official role now? Or?
Well, when we got the when we heard about the initiative Eurovision in Concert, we said let's see how this develops over the years, and it's becoming bigger and more professional. So at some point we said let's support this, let's financially support this, let's promote it, and let's actively approach the delegations by saying this is a place we have to go.
Cool, excellent. And moving on from Eurovision in Concert to the main event, how have the preparations been in Baku, in Azerbaijan?
I actually just came back from Baku just for a couple of days. And preparations are going very well. All the trucks arrived, over 140 trucks from Germany with all the production equipment are now standing in Baku. They started rigging the light in the ceiling. They started working on the surroundings of the arena. The press center is ready, but there is still a lot of work to be done around the arena inside, fitting lights, air conditioning systems and so on. But that will be completed in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. And a slightly negative question. Why do you think the international ticket sales have been slower this year compared to other years?
Well, of course, we live in difficult economic times, and going to Azerbaijan for a lot of people, especially from Western Europe, is expensive. You pay a lot of money for the flight ticket, you pay a lot of money for accommodation, and on top of that we have a very complicated visa procedure, which we have managed to simplify, but it's still quite complicated. It doesn't make it very easy to go to Azerbaijan and attend the Eurovision Song Contest. Nevertheless, we see now that there are more hotel rooms available having a lot of fun there. Now that there are more hotels available on the free market, we see ticket sales increasing, so we hope for a full house.
Okay, cool. And the Azeri budget is huge this year. They're spending an awful lot of money, but lots of broadcasters are suffering quite financial difficulties in this year. How do you feel that's reflecting on other broadcasters' preparations? Do you feel there's a lack of promotion this year, or?
Well, I think the very fact that we are with 23 participants show that they do consider it important to promote their entries. But of course, public broadcasters all over Europe are suffering. I've heard some people making the joke that Azerbaijan is probably the only country that can afford hosting Eurovision Song Contest. And of course, we took that into consideration. So behind the scenes, we've been working on what we call a break-even Eurovision, which is smaller, which is different than the song contest we've seen over the past years, but still makes it possible for a small country with limited financial means to host the song contest on their ground.
Oh, that's good. That's reassuring to hear that. So I'm sure a lot of the broadcasters will be quite happy to hear that as well. Another slightly negative question. Do you think that the terrorist threat is credible? We heard some news stories recently that there's some sort of terrorist threat in Azerbaijan. Do you think that's credible, or do you just think it's just hot air?
Well, it is not up to us to determine whether this kind of threats are credible or not. We leave that to the security authorities. In general, I would like to say that in these days you see that big events regularly face these kind of threats, but that there is a big difference between a threat and an actual act of terror. Security at the Eurovision Song Contest is an extremely high standard. We are having very good cooperation with the security authorities, and they do their work as usual. So we are confident that we will have a very pleasant Eurovision Song Contest as usual.
And just a word on the obligatory national final rule. Has a decision been taken on that yet? And do you feel that it will be enforceable if a decision has been taken?
Well, what we said at the EBU and at the reference group is that if you represent your country, the country should also have a say in the entry that represents them. We want to make Eurovision Song Contest more transparent, more open, and we also believe that a strong national selection is good for the brand. You see in countries where they don't have a national selection that it takes a long time for the audience to warm up. We see countries like Sweden and Germany where they put a lot of effort into a national selection, that the ratings for the song contest and the perception of the brand is also more positive. It is very hard to impose on broadcasters that they should make this kind of program, but I believe we really don't ask for much. You can do one show with one singer and two songs, or with two singers and one song. That is not a lot we ask for. We are now working with the members, with the TV committee.
Has there been any resistance to the rule coming?
Of course there is resistance. There are countries that are used to a tradition of having internal selections, and they would like to keep it that way because they believe that is the right way to go. I'm sure that a decision on this will be taken very shortly, also because we want to give the broadcasters heads up before they start preparing for next year. So we have to take a decision in the weeks and months to come, and we also have to make very clear how we expect it to be implemented. So what is the minimum that we expect from it.
Okay, Sietse, that's been really good. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. I know you're really busy today.
Have a good time in Amsterdam.
Yeah, and we'll see you in Bakker in a few weeks' time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.